All right, so picture for a minute two kids having an argument, right? They're siblings, they're sitting around, and it always starts with a grievance, right? Kind of like, don't touch me. I didn't touch you. Yes, you did. Right, and after this stunning exchange, right, things escalate a bit, right? They go into insult mode, right? No, I didn't, butthead. Yes, you did, stupid. And this could go all day. But one of these kids has a secret weapon, the copycat maneuver, right? Yes, you did, butthead. I don't sound like that. I don't sound like that. Seriously, don't copy me. Seriously, don't copy me. I'm going to tell Mom. I'm going to tell Mom. Mom! Right? Now, this isn't just annoying to kids. It's equally infuriating to adults, but actually, the reason for that is because when someone steals your voice and they use it as a weapon against you, what do you have left to fight back with? It gets under the skin. That's why mimicry is at the heart of satire, and why artists for generations have used it to skewer those in power, whether that's kings and queens or priests and politicians, even the President of the United States. But, these days, the powerful, they're not always individuals with, noteworthy hairstyles or verbal tics, right? A lot of the times they don't have faces at all. They're billion-dollar brands or multinational corporations or, government agencies. But we can still steal their voices. Just instead of dressing up in a wig, we learn to dress up in their brand identity. Instead of imitating their speech patterns, we learn how to speak in their typography, their fonts, images, logos. Often it's so ubiquitous that anybody with a computer can go online and find that stuff. And what that means is that, anyone with some graphic design chops and a little attention to detail can pick a fight with the powerful in their own voice. Let me tell you a dumb story about how I started thinking about this, right? So many years ago, I had a job at the mall. And, I was working in, let's call it a magical fruit stand. An Apple store, yeah. And, but here's the thing. When I got hired, I didn't see it as a boring retail mall job, right? I was working for one of the world's most admired companies. It was a creative company, a company that maybe was even a little rebellious, right? But after you work in a mall for 5 years and you get screamed at every day about inanimate objects, the luster wears off the apple a little bit. And, and it changed. We stopped talking as much about our magical, life-enriching gathering place and more about our quarterly revenue metrics and employee performance and customer satisfaction and turnaround time. And, it just kind of turns into boring old corporate retail. And, one day I'm walking into the back of the store to hide from a customer, have a good cry, and I see these two posters hanging up in the back hallway, right? And they're not made by Apple. They were made by a manager, and the content's not really important, but they were just there to sort of remind us to offer personal setup. And, when I saw it, I was like, no, man, the stock images, the cheesy type and the statistics and all of this, it was like basically the printed embodiment of all of my frustrations with my job staring me in the face. It wasn't the company that I'd come to work for. So, I did what any, disgruntled creative with a background in graphic design and a couple hours of free time would do. I hatched my own diabolical scheme to create absurdist replicas of the posters and then secretly install them in the store. Yeah. But, we start small, right? Just like a couple of typographic errors, a single picture of Paula Deen. See if anybody's paying attention, right? But then gradually you crank up the absurdity, right? Some more errors, more Paula Deen, until eventually, people, People ask me why Paula Deen, and I'm just like, look at how happy she is. Like, why not Paula Deen, right? It's just amazing. Anyway, my managers, they find out about this. They're not thrilled. They pull me in the office for an interrogation. And, they're like, Danny, we're not mad, we're just disappointed, which you may know this is code for, I'm so mad I can't even talk to you about it, right? And that was fine, but I didn't really care because I realized something really kind of profound in that moment. That with my little graphic design counterfeit stunt, I had turned an entire retail store management team against me. And that's power, y'all. And I mean, just a side note about me here, I crave power. Oh, yes, I do. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, but I also crave having a job. So I left the store shortly after that, on good terms, right? And I got a new job teaching graphic design at CU Boulder, at this amazing interdisciplinary place called the Atlas Institute, and it just kind of worked out, right? Like, I used graphic design to make my little point. And I actually got to transition into a better career where now I teach my students how to make their own counterfeit designs as part of their coursework. It's like amazing, right? And it's not just them. Like, y'all can learn to do this kind of thing too. But before you do that, you need to know what you're getting yourselves into. So I've just got 3 things that I think every budding counterfeit designer should be thinking about, okay? Point number 1, y'all be ready for a fight, okay? Let's go back. It's 1983, Hustler magazine. They run a fake advertisement. Now, the ad is a parody of a Campari liqueur ad campaign where they'd interview a famous person about their first time drinking Campari, but, through some light innuendo, you'd be like, is this our first time drinking Campari, or is this our first time, eyebrow, wink, wink? Yeah. I know. So, Hustler makes their fake version of this ad, but instead of, a normal interviewee, their fake interview is with noted conservative televangelist Jerry Falwell. And I can't get into the text of this particular thing, but let's just say it goes way beyond light innuendo, and you can search for it online. Not at work, though. Anyway, Falwell finds out about this. He's not thrilled. He's mad. He's not just disappointed. And he sues Hustler. He takes him to court, litigates for years before it ends up finally at the Supreme Court, where Hustler actually wins in what's now known as a landmark case for the freedom of satirical speech, right? Yeah. Take a more recent example, though. Anthony Novak of Parma, Ohio. 2016, he makes a fake version, just as a joke, a fake version of his city's police department's Facebook page, right? It looks just like the real thing, same name, same info, logos, etc. But instead of the normal police department postings, his postings have information about, say, a hiring event where minorities are strongly discouraged from applying, or like new city ordinances about how it's illegal to feed and aid the homeless, and lots of scandalous and absurd stuff, right? And a few of these posts go mildly viral before Novak takes the whole site down a couple days later. Parma police, they subpoena Facebook for his identity. They arrest him on felony charges. They throw him in jail. They raid his house and confiscate all of his electronics. Now, he's later released and acquitted and will probably sue the police department. But it goes to show that if you do this kind of thing, you can make some powerful enemies, right? So if you're going to pick that fight, you need to make sure that you pick a worthy target. Right? Listen, I tell people that I teach college students how to make counterfeits, and I get some nervous looks. It doesn't take a lot of imagination between students with fake IDs and, troll farms churning out fake news to see how this kind of skill could be abused. But counterfeit design is not just about sowing chaos and anarchy in the world around us, right? It's actually about finding big, powerful targets, right? Targets that set off our bullshit detectors and, punching up at the powerful, not beating down on marginalized folks or everyday people, right? Y'all remember in 2014 when Volkswagen got in trouble for, manipulating their emissions data, trying to make their cars seem more efficient? Keep that in mind. There's this amazing, we'll call them an anti-advertising artist collective called Brandalism. And they do a bunch of work in this domain. And in 2015, everybody was watching Paris, France, because the COP21 climate talks were happening there. And artists from Brandalism saw an opportunity. They made their own Volkswagen ad, right? In its iconic advertising style. But instead of them getting to say, instead of Volkswagen getting to say, "We're sorry," this ad was more like, "We're sorry we got caught." And this is actually just one of dozens that were secretly installed by those artists all over Paris during the talks. Right? That's what I mean when I say steal a voice and speak truth to power, right? That's good stuff. It's inspiring to me, but as inspiring as that is, we have to remember one more thing, which is if you do this, don't expect to change the world. Just do it because you expect to change you. So, from a practical perspective, right? Making a counterfeit actually teaches you a ton about the practical side of graphic design. You have to find images and layouts, and you have to match fonts and typography, get everything sized and positioned just right. You even have to make your own graphics, images, get everything lined up just so, because you want to make a perfect replica that you can then subvert for your own purposes, right? That turned out okay? But y'all, I mean, from an actual impact standpoint, most of the stuff like this, when somebody finds it, they just throw it in the trash, right? Or worse yet, it gets left up because nobody notices it at all. I did like a no smoking parody sign. I think it was like 3 years ago. It's still there. Nobody's seen it, right? Nobody cares. Regardless of that, right? Regardless of its impact, the work still has merit. And here's why. Because if you take an ad and you really drill down into it, in order to try and figure out what it's saying so that you can make a good joke at its expense, you start to break the spell that ads actually cast over you, right? Yeah. You kind of take the power back for yourself, and then you add your voice to what was otherwise a very lopsided conversation, right? Some of the best work that my students do, it reflects their frustrations with big power structures around them, right? I've seen students take on student debt, right? I've seen students go after the grind of summer classes, during my summer class, actually. I've even seen them take on their own part-time retail employment, which is kind of my jam. So that warms my heart. Yeah. Y'all, I mean, sometimes my students even use this assignment to take the opportunity to make fun of me and my institution, right? And actually, that's a really good thing. Because, I want to think of myself as this, cool instructor, but in a lot of ways, I'm kind of just an emissary of the man, and not in a cool way, right? I give them grades, and I tell them if they pass or fail, right? And I accept their tuition dollars, and yeah. But here's the thing. I say it's good that they do that because it means that they're getting it. They're getting that they don't just have to passively accept all of the messages that come to them through screen and through print, right? They realize that they don't just have to become numb to that stuff altogether. By creating these small acts of defiance, we actually retrain our minds on how to ingest media. And that, y'all, that really can change the world. So, yeah. So one more thing. To the powerful out there who would hide behind a brand, consider this a warning. We know what your fonts look like. We know what your brand identity is, right? We see it every day. So if you won't use your voice to tell the truth, We will steal your voice and we'll tell it for you. Yeah.